This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fully Managed podcast. This is a podcast where we are going to be discussing marketing, business tips, and so many other things to help assist you in your business journeys. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's partnership coordinator. I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Jimmy Stearns from Attention Grabbing Media. Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
Good, Daniela. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Very excited to have you. So for everybody who is not familiar with you with Attention Grabbing Media, what you guys do, can you tell us a little bit about you and what Attention Grabbing Media does?
Yeah, sure. So Attention Grabbing Media is a full-service digital marketing agency that we're based in Largo, Florida, which is kind of close to Tampa. So if you're aware where Tampa is in Florida, that's where we're at. The business actually started back in about 2015, 2016. Our CEO, his name is Manuel Suarez, and it all came from the idea of when he started working with his father. His father has a company called Natural Slim. And if you search them up online, you'll see that they're a 9-figure brand. They've been around for a long time. And like I said, it started with him. He wanted to do marketing for his father. And once he started doing that, he started growing the business. He showed his father how to get online, use digital marketing to really start to grow it. And when his father saw that that was like his superpower per se, he said, "Hey man, why don't you start a marketing business?" And he was like, "You're right." So then Attention Grabbing Media was born. So that's kind of where we started, and where we're at today is we're a 4 times Inc. 5000 growth company, to where every single year we just keep breaking records, and looking for more in the future.
Amazing. And how specifically did you end up in Attention Grabbing Media? How did life lead you to work with them?
Great question. So for me, I've always been in digital creation. So I was creating commercials. I was also doing commercial photography in Nashville, Tennessee, actually. That's where I originally was located. And this is a little bit before the pandemic happened. I know, right? Pandemic. So back in 2020 and 2019, I was going around doing this as, I guess you could say, my own business, right? I was going around to different local businesses, pitching to be able to go, "Hey, let me go ahead and make you some commercials," or maybe I would do wedding photography, event photography, and that's how I was generating income for myself. And along the way, I came across this company actually through my now wife. She was my girlfriend then. She was actually working for them, and she showed me, she said, "Hey, you know what? These guys are amazing. They're doing marketing, and you're really good at doing voiceover work, doing commercial and video photography and things like that. So why don't you apply?" I said, "Sure, why not?" So I reached out, and long story short, they were going to originally deny me. It's funnily enough, I applied to be a videographer for them, and they said, "You know what, we're not actually hiring for that right now." And my hopes and dreams, they were crushed. And then about a week later, I got a call back and said, "Actually, you know what? We looked at your work, changed our mind. What do you say? Let's get started." And so that was right before the pandemic, and I was working remotely actually at the time, which was great for me because when it did happen, whenever, when COVID hit,
You're
I
like
was
ahead of your time,
I was like, "Yeah, I'm good to go. I'm already remote." I was so that's kind of how it started there. And I was helping writing scripts, helping video editors with getting ads created, and basically the whole process of going through, like, learning with the client's market research, going through and everything and saying like, "Okay, you have XYZ product. All right, let's write the ad like this." And I would give it to our account managers, with the ad copy and all that good stuff. And we would run them, split test, get the data back, and then create new ones. And that's kind of how I started. And over the years, what happened is my ability to get good sales and to actually get a lot of good leads from these ads grabbed the attention of our CEO. And so he reached out to me and he said, why don't you move down here and come to be in our local office here? We'd really appreciate having you actually in person. And so after that, I bumped my way up from just being, someone who wrote ads and did things like that to creative director position for our CEO, Manuel Suarez, and kept growing from there, honestly, because we started creating podcasts with very high, like, what would you say, like these individuals that are just like really big in the business game. I don't know if you've heard of Elena Cardone. It's the wife of Grant Cardone. We've had her on the podcast. We've had Dan Henry. We've also had Les Brown, a wonderful public speaker, and many, many more names I can mention. But we started having a podcast that was growing really big. And we started to create more and more like leads, I guess you could say, with putting that out there and running Manuel's social media. We grew it from the ground up to over 50,000 followers, and it just keeps going and going and going. And that's kind of where I'm at now-ish, is kind of that. We moved out of where I'm just doing for Manuel Suarez, and I'm actually helping all of our clients. I'm in the zone now to where I fly out across the country to help actually build studios, and I help clients create their content so that we then can take it and distribute it across all the different platforms, help with directing, help actually getting them their gear, and kind of setting up, in a way, their own video production, if that makes sense.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I feel like right now video production is so huge, um, in marketing, especially. Like I think I wasn't expecting for it to grow so much to the point where it's like, everybody has to be a videographer basically for their own business. So I think right now companies like this one can definitely provide a lot more value than probably back in 2019, 2020 when you were doing it. Like obviously there was a different way, but it's growing exponentially, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're in the day and age now to where, like TikTok, and at least in our opinion, TikTok is taking off to the point to where if you haven't already noticed, if you go to the TikTok lives where we have the people selling on there, I think that's the next big wave. 2025 is going to be TikTok live.
TikTok live is huge. And I didn't know businesses will do like they'll start doing. I've seen like local businesses like that will just start putting out all of their inventory on TikTok lives, and they're like, yeah, right now if you purchase it, it's like 80% off. And I'm just like, what? Like, and apparently they do really well because like people will go in and like start buying stuff.
Oh yeah. We actually, over this weekend, for the company I was telling you
Black
about, his father's
Friday.
company,
Yeah.
Natural Slim. We actually did for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. We went and did TikTok lives, and we were just kind of going through the motions, learning the platform. I know that there's a lot of people out there already doing it, but for us, we started jumping into the game and seeing how it went. And man, it is insane. It's so great. Like we had, man, the impressions over just a 3-hour period was almost 1 million impressions. 1 million. So think about that. If you were to go like maybe an 8-hour day, like just going on the TikTok live, you're going to get probably an incredible amount of people being able to see your content, and you can funnel them in there, show your products, really get known. And I think that's why it's the big wave for 2025. I'm just going to throw that out there.
No, yeah, TikTok in general has been the big wave for like the past few years, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, because TikTok kind of drives what happens in other social platforms. So I've talked to people who are a little bit more into like Instagram or YouTube Shorts, and I'm like, yeah, but I feel like at the end of the day, the trends always start on TikTok and then they move towards the other platforms, which is huge.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's incredible. So yeah, I mean, what you're doing is really important and definitely useful because I also feel like there's a lot of people who are just because it's gaining traction, like just because something is getting important doesn't mean that everybody knows how to do it or how to maximize the success from that.
Mhm.
I think like companies like this that can actually help clients to do that are very important, which actually leads me to my first question, which how are you guys sort of using data, using analytics, using all of these tools that we're currently seeing online for digital marketing specifically to maximize a client's success, or to help them with growth or reach whatever goals they have?
Okay, so great question. So there are so many different analytic tools that are out there, just really depending on what platform you're doing what on, right? So depending on if you're doing email, SMS, of course, there's multiple ones. There's like Go High Level, there's Keep, et cetera, like that, right? And then for Google, you get the Google dashboard and all that. And the Meta, of course, going into the Meta Business Suite. Basically, what we do is we look at what does and doesn't work. It's all about testing. You have to consistently keep testing. So once you do your market research, especially if you're like a marketing company like us and we bring on a client, you do your market research, you figure out what it is that the competitors are doing, what it is that your particular client is trying to sell. And as long as the product and service is helping people in some sort of way, I mean, you're going to do a great job, right? So we craft the copy, craft the images, craft the videos in a way that when we go through an A/B test, we just check box on the ones that work and we check box also on the ones that don't work. So we stop doing that. And you could see it in the ad spend, whenever you're starting to actually go through, you can see like, okay, I'm getting less and less cost per click on these particular ones and there's more on this one. So it's really, really all about testing, because sometimes the funny part is us as marketers, we'll look at it and we'll say, man, I really like the way this image looks. And we'll see another one. We're like, I don't think that one's going to convert. And then it turns out, boom, this one takes off. And the one we thought that was going to be good dies, right? So it's all about testing, testing, testing. That's marketing.
And actually, I have another question because I feel like I'm seeing that there's also an emerging trend of people trying to do everything sort of algorithm driven, trying
Mm,
to optimize everything and like to have it fit an algorithm. They're doing a lot of things like SEO, and obviously there's a space
mhm.
for all of this, and there's usefulness. But my wonder is, how do you balance creativity and innovation and sort of new things with having that kind of algorithm driven optimization and producing content that stands out, performs, but also does well in the algorithm?
Great question. So each platform, of course, has its own way of operating. And it's funny, like when people say algorithm, you start to think like, have you seen the meme where the lady's looking and there's all these numbers and things crying in front of her? You start to kind of think of it as like, what is this thing? Like it could be a little confusing. It might be a little bit hard to understand sometimes, but really what it comes down to be is like to jump ahead of the curve or to ride the wave, as some people say, is you look at kind of what other creators are doing, right? And see what's winning. And usually you pick a platform and go all in on it. So for instance, YouTube is great, obviously, for long form content. And what you do is you go and it's just like whenever you're doing product research, right? And you're going around and you're trying to figure out what's working best for other competitors and things like that. You go and look on the platform and see who's winning. So number one, Mr. Beast, obviously, go on there and see what he's doing. See what it is that these videos, how are they being edited? You don't have to necessarily get drones and have crazy, ridiculous things like Mr. Beast is doing, but you can at least analyze how the editing is being done in the video. Does he jump? Does he have a certain beat to it? Like when he speaks about something, does he lead up to a thing and then jump to another thing? How does the whole video end? Where's the peak of interest at? And you kind of look at those little things like that. And once you it comes down to a little science. And I like to always, for me at least, compare it to like music. It has a beat to it. It has a rhythm to it when it comes to video. And everybody reacts to it differently, right? So you have different genres of music. You're going to have different genres of audiences and how they look at video types. And so what you want to do is figure out which audience you're trying to target, what type of rhythm in the video that they're going to really engage with the most. And that's how you get on top of the algorithm. And it really depends on which platform, because I just picked YouTube. You can go into TikTok, you can go into Instagram, Facebook, wherever, and you could do the same thing. You just go look at the top creators, kind of take a look at how the videos segment themselves, and then you go down and take note on these different ones. You can kind of Frankenstein something, if that makes sense. You can go
Yeah.
into like Google Docs. You could say, hey, you know what? I saw these guys do this. I really liked how they did the intro there. Check. This middle part here. Check. I like how they piqued interest here. Sometimes one of the things you'll notice too is the top creators won't tell you that the video is ending. It just ends. Or you'll notice a loop just hits in. And those are right now what's trending. And that's what's really taking off. So what you do is you try to stay ahead of the game. You keep going, you keep progressing, you keep making. And like I always like to say here in our company, create, create, create. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And actually, your answers are great because they're leading me to my other question. When it comes to creation, it can be difficult for a lot of people. And I think a lot of the big process of creating something is collaborating with other people, working together. A lot of times that is a huge part of it.
Mhm.
How difficult or how easy do you find it to be in any kind of creative field or not creative? But I think like with digital marketing, that is the current digital marketing trends that are requiring people to be more creative, even if maybe they are not, but they're requiring businesses to lean into a little bit more into that creativity. How do you think it is that process is being now that things have changed, and how do you manage to align with clients to sort of have unified visions? Because at Penji, we also are a creative business, and I
Mhm.
think we also have to sort of see how that process is with our clients, because I think we also get a lot of people who they are
Mhm.
not we're a graphic design business, right? So a lot of times they don't know what they're asking for precisely. They're like, "We want a logo." And as a designer, the designer knows, like, that they need more specific details in order to create that logo. But the customer doesn't understand that because they're not that, like maybe they're just good at their product and they're not that creatively inclined, if that makes sense. And there's like a disconnect. So I think like there's always like that process of that's why we create a lot of material to teach our clients like,
Mhm.
okay, when you ask for a logo, you have to make sure like what kind of logo? Do you want it to be a maximalist logo? Do you want it to be very like minimalist? Do you want it to be very sleek? Whatever it is, so that we can
Mhm.
also give them the best results to what they're asking for.
So that's a really good question because over the years of working with multiple different clients over multiple different projects, even with graphic design, especially with logos too, what I've learned and what I've noticed that works the best is that sometimes there's misunderstandings in the language when it comes to communication, especially whenever you're a graphic designer and you're speaking to somebody who has no clue what Photoshop is or what Adobe Illustrator is. They don't know what the tools are called. They don't know what they do, right? Um, and it's just kind of like it kind of creates a barrier in a way, right? And so I think that the clients, they know what they do know what they want. I think it's just that a lot of times they don't know how to communicate it fully to you, and vice versa. The graphic designer trying to ask the question in a full way that, where we're both on the same page. And what I think is really great about today is that we have something called ChatGPT. And what's great about it is not only does it translate into other languages, right? Like Spanish or Italian or German, but it can really break down that barrier between the client and the artist. It really can break it down because you could literally go into the chat and say, hey, you know what? I'm trying to create a logo for a client and I really want to make it easy for them to understand exactly how I'm asking this, and provide like real, real expectations, how long it's going to take to do this, et cetera, and also provide examples for them so it really breaks it down. And you'd be surprised. Using ChatGPT will help you break down that barrier. And I think really it's communication. Communication with your client is going to get you the best results and also being transparent and setting the right expectations because communication will buy you time.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely. We've definitely like you said, we've learned that over the years. But I was curious because I think any kind of creative agency or service will face that hurdle when you're going to realize that like your client doesn't understand, you don't understand, and then there's like that gap in the middle, right?
You can go back and forth for like a week until, oh, that kind of like this. It's like,
And then your
hey, it took us
customer
a
gets,
week.
like the client gets mad, you get mad. Like it's just like an overall frustrating experience, I think.
Right.
Um, And I mean, I'm not a designer. I'm obviously in the marketing team, but I've learned a lot about design from working here. And I've definitely learned a lot about how to properly ask for a lot of these things. Because before I would also just kind of be like, oh, yeah, like a pink logo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, you realize, like, oh, no, no, that's not. And what kind of pink logo? Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, and I also wanted to ask you another question, which is
Mhm.
I'm assuming that you guys have, like a lot of different types of people coming to you. You're working with a lot of different companies, you're working with your own company. That requires a lot of inspiration. You got to keep those juices flowing all the time. How do you do that? What keeps that inspiration going? What do you guys do when there's like a block, when you can't come up with something, especially when you have to sort of keep a business going and have like a lot of these people's needs met?
Yeah, that's a great question. So creator's block or writer's block, I think is really just kind of like, and I hate to break it down to everybody like this, but I think it's an excuse. And here's why. We have so many things at our fingertips today that can break you through in the creative field. You have so many creators out there that are creating content that you can go and watch to get inspiration for. And now you have artificial intelligence to also help you brainstorm and break through that. But it's really no longer a real thing. I think it's kind of an excuse now because for me in the past, at least before we had all of this at our fingertips, yeah, it was hard, man. You'd have to like really just kind of keep making stuff. And that was like my go-to was like, just create, 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 just keep creating stuff. Eventually something's going to look good. Right. And that was my original go-to. My motto was just keep on creating and eventually gold will come from it. And now I'm like, hey, dude, there's so many things out there that like, if you get creatively like blocked, you feel like you're burnt out. Well, then now it's time to go and explore something different. That's like, for instance, go wild with it. Right. So my suggestion to you, if you get burnt out, is go out and start creating something that you find so much fun doing that has nothing to do with work, that when you come back to work, your brain is already changing in a different gear, that you're able to pretty much jump back into that creativeness. I hope that makes sense. Like that's what I do.
No, that totally makes sense. It totally makes sense to think like reconnecting with nature type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could go, for instance, for me, I have really bad jokes. Really not that funny of a guy. At least I think I am really funny. But anyway, I go out and I start to create these things that I think are really funny when I'm not working, right? And I'll make goofy things. I'll even go make like I made an Instagram called AI Boomer Humor. And I'm just sitting there making all kinds of goofy things just to help with that process, because if you just keep creating, I think it's inevitable that you're never going to get a block because you're always doing it. And I think once you stop, at any point in time, if you stop, then that's when it starts to build that barrier for you.
Yeah, for sure. Because then you run out of practice, basically.
Yeah, I mean, think about a guitar player. What if he just stopped playing for a few years and he came back and we're like, play live, go, play the solo. And he's like, wait, didn't practice. Yeah, so you can get stuck. Yeah.
Make a lot of mistakes. No, for sure. Well, Jimmy, thank you so much for doing this. It's been great having you on the podcast. I do have a little game prepared before I let you go. It's a bunch of rapid fire questions. So I'm going to set a 1 minute timer on my phone right now.
Okay.
And we're going to try to get through these questions. They're really silly. So I've had like I do it and with my guests all the time, and nobody has ever been able to get through 20 questions. We'll see how many we can get through. My advice, don't think about the answer, just say whatever comes to your head.
Okay, I'm good at that. I'm good at that. Let's go.
Yeah. Because I have like people who think too much and then that's what ruins them.
Okay.
Okay. How long do you think you'd survive a zombie apocalypse?
5 minutes.
Favorite smell?
Wait, what?
Favorite smell?
Flower.
Have you ever gone a day without wearing underwear?
No.
What do you think your last words will be?
Help me, I'm crying.
What's your Wi-Fi password? Oh, that maybe I shouldn't ask that one. Why do round pizzas come in square boxes?
For the sake of being pizza.
What would you do if you won $1 million?
Probably buy really comfortable shoes.
How do you hang toilet paper, over or under?
Under.
Have you ever gone to a corner store and stolen a candy bar?
I have not.
How many beers do you think you'd be able to consume?
Probably one.
If you failed a driver's test, which part would it be?
It would be the parallel parking. I suck at that.
What type of dog breed would you be if you would be a dog?
Border collie.
Let's see. Do you like pineapple on pizza?
I do. Yes.
Okay, it's time. Actually, we got through, let me see, 11, which is not bad. And it's probably my fault because I was looking at some of my questions and some of them were kind of like advanced stuff.
Totally fine. It was really fun. Thank you for playing that game.
Yeah. Thank you for doing it as well. You were pretty good actually, so it was my fault. We took too long.
Nah, you did. Yeah.
Jimmy, thank you so much for doing this. Before I let you go, before we finish this, I want to give you the space to plug anything that you want to plug. Right now is the moment. If anybody wants to go and work with you, if they want to get to know you, whatever, the space is yours.
Okay, great. Well, I have two things I want to say. First is Attention Grabbing Media's mission statement. So that way you guys know exactly what we're all about. Our mission is to help hundreds of millions of small businesses. Excuse me. I'm going to repeat that. I know you're going to edit this. Sorry. Our mission is to help hundreds of millions of small business owners around the world control their own revenue with attention-grabbing marketing strategies that create an explosion of prospects and customers, which leads to a thriving business and an improved quality of life for employees, owners, and clients of that business. That's our mission statement. It's kind of what we want to do for you, right? And the second thing I want to plug there is in January, next month, on the 24th and 25th, we're having an AI mastermind. And that's where our CEO, Manuel Suarez, is keeping the local public and local business owners up to date with what's trending, what's happening in the AI world. We do it every 6 months, 3 to 6 months to keep you updated because it's fast paced. So if you're interested in learning more about that, just go to aicourse.ai and you can either sign up virtually or come locally.
I was muted. Amazing. I will be adding the links to attention grabbing media and all of these things to our description so that people watching the video can go ahead and watch it. And for all of our listeners, go to the description of the video to click the links. Jimmy, it was so great to have you on the podcast today. It was so fun.
Absolutely. Thank you, Daniela. I really appreciate that you guys reached out to us, and especially me. And I really, really had a good time. Thank you.
I really appreciate having you on. Thank you so much. We're very, very excited. Everybody, I will see you. Sharon will see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.